Work is underway to upright several Norfolk Southern train cars after a derailment in Lawrence County. News Chopper 2 flying high above those cleanup efforts. That derailment happened overnight in Newcastle. Firefighters were initially called for a possible fire but found no flames. KDKA's Jessica Guay spoke with first responders about what the train was carrying and the cleanup efforts.
Norfolk Southern crews are working to upright the 9 rail cars that left the track. Public safety officials say there is no threat to the public from hazardous materials and there is no need for evacuations or sheltering.
For a train derailment with a wheel sparking.
Newcastle Fire Chief Mike Kobe knew someday he'd get this call for a train derailment in his town. Around 11 Wednesday night, a Norfolk Southern train derailed at the Montgomery Avenue Railroad crossing in Newcastle. This is the first thing that went through Chief Kobe's mind.
Damage control. How much are we going to have to evacuate? Is it going to be as bad as the most recent one? A lot of things as far as making sure public safety was my priority, and then everything else after.
He says they found 9 derailed cars, some on the railroad bridge over the Mahoning River. The materials on board were not a concern.
Once we evaluated the cars, we found that there were no hazardous materials involved with the cars that had derailed. There was one car that was leaking, but it was carrying soybeans. So that did discharge somewhat into the river.
Another derailed car was hauling paraffin wax that's used to make candles. He says it's not hazardous and it didn't leak. A statement from Norfolk Southern said there were no hazardous materials involved, no injuries, and their crews responded immediately. This comes amid increased attention to railroad safety after the fiery Norfolk Southern train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, which is about 15 miles from this derailment in Newcastle.
So in light of recent events with the train derailments in our area, we've actually taken courses to prepare ourselves for this kind of event. And we've also always said it's not a matter of if it's going to happen in our area because we have a lot of rail lines, it's a matter of when.
The PA Department of Environmental Protection has been monitoring the site, which closed a main artery for heavy truck traffic. Chief Kobe says Norfolk Southern crews put booms in the Mahoning River.
They're there in the event that they have a hydraulic line or a fuel leak from one of the vehicles that's actually doing the recovery. So they're more of a preventative measure to make sure they don't leak anything into the river.
The possibility of trains going off the tracks has been a concern of Chief Kobe's his entire career.
We've always had the knowledge that that material was passing through our county, so we've always had it on the burner. It's just never happened to us. But we expected it to at some point.
People are asked to avoid the area while the road is blocked. No word on what caused the derailment. In Newcastle, Jessica Guay, KDKA-TV News.
Now, just hours earlier, the Bipartisan Rail Safety Act of 2023 cleared its first major hurdle in Congress. That bill is now headed to the full Senate for consideration. Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown says the act would help prevent disasters like the one in East Palestine. He says it would strengthen safety procedures for trains carrying hazardous materials, require defect detectors along the rails, and increase fines against rail carriers that don't follow the rules.